I'm Laura McConnell-Conti. I'm co-founder of a sleep and bedding brand called Go Kindly. I am an open water swimmer, a long distance motorbike rider. I have a very quirky, funny little 6-year-old. And I'm also a survivor of a cult known as the Truth 2x2s, where I experienced abuse. When I was around 13, my father went to prison, and that made my family very vulnerable. So in a cultic environment, my mother losing her husband to prison meant that she was really put in a situation where she was dependent on being kind of allowed to stay in the group. To be clear, leaving that group would have left her with no friends and no family, no money, and no support. And so she was in a situation where, and me as a child was put in a situation where I knew the implications of standing up to abusive men. And by, my mother being made vulnerable, and by us not having a voice then, because we also had no elder in our home because my father was in prison, we were made vulnerable by that situation. And predatory workers came into our home. I remember as a kid, as one of the older girls in a group of cousins, being the one who had to keep an eye out and make sure everyone where everyone was. So, and all it takes is for one of the older kids to miss one of the kids, or miss that someone's gotten into a car with somebody, to miss that somebody is inside in the kitchen with somebody they shouldn't be. I, especially as a girl, spent a fair chunk of my childhood buzzing around like a bloody hen trying to work out where all the kids were to make sure they were safe. Then you're in this situation where I have predatory workers sitting around the table with me, putting their hands up my dress. I have predatory workers reaching across the table, clasping my hands and holding them down. Justice can just feel like being believed a lot of the time. Believed and heard, and the secret not being there anymore. So justice for me looks more and more like that shame being stripped away and returned to the people it belongs to, and less about locking people up and putting them in jail. Some of us are not engaging just for compensation and for money. Some of us are engaging for justice and for change and for the safety of children and young people and vulnerable people still in those organisations. I think upon reflection that being referred on to No More Legal was a game changer for me in terms of being able to both encourage other people to apply for the scheme and raise awareness of the group more broadly with government and policymakers. I think that had I not been referred to No More Legal, I would not have continued to push through making a proper application. My application probably would have stopped at the letter that I wrote to the scheme to advise them about the group's existence. There is a definite need for complex cases like mine to have legal representation and legal support. There's just no denying that. I think it would have been a very different journey had I not been referred to No More Legal. It's not a simple kind of, I think, healing journey which is linear. You often feel like you're doing okay, and then it will hit you like a truck from nowhere because, I don't know, you smell something or you see something, or it's windy, or it's somebody's story triggers something in you. I would like to say that it's something that you get to a point where it's just kind of done and closed, and you feel like you've integrated it into your life and you can grieve it and whatever. But I think it is a roller coaster. So I went into fight mode for a very long time, and I'm very proud of myself for going into fight mode because it opened up a world for me where I could live differently. But in the process of going into fight mode, I became numb. I just fought and fought and fought and lived on adrenaline for 20 odd years. And I was numb. I was really numb, and I was on very high doses of antidepressants for a very long time. Very suicidal, had stints in mental health units repeatedly, and something I'm not ashamed of actually, because I think those mental health units actually saved my life in lots and lots of ways. I had eating disorders for years where I would eat and binge and then purge, and it was just this constant trying to cleanse myself, but also being in fight mode. Not being able to process the anger, not being able to process how scared I was. No space to be scared. I just had to survive. I was in this very tight survival fight mode for many, many years. So it has been very hard for survivors inside the Truth 2x2 cult to get any kind of action through courts or through legal redress. Which is also why the redress scheme is so important to me, is that it does give survivors an opportunity without needing to prove that the group has an ABN or has a tax file number or has a registration, the chance to say we exist and we have survivors of this group, because if we were to go to court, we wouldn't be able to do that because they don't have a formal registered entity. And that is why this scheme has actually, been very powerful for us. So one of the questions I have is what will happen after 2027 when the National Redress Scheme wraps up. So I think I would encourage politicians to start thinking about what is going to happen, because I know of people still being abused inside groups like the Truth 2x2s right now. And I think that hasn't been thought through. It takes years and years for lots of survivors to have the confidence to go out and talk about what's happened to them.